You know, it's that kind of stuff that everything else is worth it. You know, when you're able to be surrounded by people you love,
That's the end goal.
that's it. I think that's it for all of us. Regardless of what you have or you don't have, it's your relationships, right? It's being able to be around the people that you really care about and you love. That's it. People who vibrate at similar frequencies.
Okay.
Yeah, perfect.
You ready to go?
I'm ready. You guys ready?
Yeah, it's looking good.
Let's do this.
All right. What's the app?
The app, oh, good question. Well, app stands for Assisted Purchase Program. So what happens if someone wants to purchase a home? You know, traditionally they go to the bank, try to get pre-approved before they go looking for a property. And the banks have become so incredibly restrictive. So if you go to the bank to get pre-approved, what happens is they're going to look at 3 different criteria for any given person. It's got a lot to do with your income, your source of income, where it's coming from, your down payment, and of course your credit score. So I put app together, assisted purchase program, for the people that the bank said no to.
So a buyer has to pass all of those criteria then?
Absolutely. So basically, if you go to the bank and the bank says no, you're not buying a home. Not at least in a traditional way. There's other ways to do it. Like there's private financing. That's generally very, very expensive. There's a lot of costs involved in legal fees. Generally speaking, you're going to have 20% or more of a down payment saved up, plus the legal fees. And yeah, there's some other criteria with that. Many people find it cost prohibitive.
Okay, so this assisted purchase program, it's basically rent to own?
No, well, I can see where some people might say that, but the problem with rent to own is actually the first word, rent. This is not rent. You're basically purchasing a property. And you know, we've got a contract where this is the property you'll be purchasing. I almost like to call it buying a home with training wheels. You know, we all learn to ride a bike using training wheels at first, and then you take the training wheels off and you're on your own. Well, this is very much the same way. It's a different style of getting into home ownership when the banks say no.
And when did you like kind of start this whole thing?
Oh my gosh. I was in my early 20s when I put this together. I want to say maybe I was 22 years old. I did it mainly for my own properties at the time, and it's gone through a different iterations, let's call it. Yeah, I've been doing it for well over 30 years.
Okay, so 30 years. How and why did you come up with this idea?
Okay, well, first of all, there was a need. There was an absolute need. There's always going to be people that the banks say no to, you know, and wonderful people. Like, just because you can't get a mortgage the traditional way doesn't mean that you're a bad person. You know, and real life happens. You know, it could be illness, and it could be you got laid off. It could be it's just that you were young with credit and you abused the credit because you honestly didn't understand how credit worked and how interest works against you. You know, if you didn't have that information. So I recognized a need. And once I recognized that need and thought, man, if someone had a solution to this, I was very well versed in landlord-tenant legislation, going way back, as I own many revenue properties. And I knew I did not want that traditional landlord-tenant relationship. It's a very adversarial relationship. No, I wanted to help people get into home ownership. And because I'm a real estate investor myself, and I've been a buyer myself, I felt, uniquely qualified to see both sides of that equation. And of course, in any relationship, it's got to be win-win. And I'm very, very proud to say that I was able to put something together where my buyers are equally as happy as my investors.
Okay, investors. There are investors involved.
There are investors involved. That's how we do it.
Okay, and are these foreign investors or large investment funds?
No, excellent question. Really great question. No, these are local business people, local people in our community that are accredited investors that have just done well for themselves, and they want to see people move ahead in our community. They care. So they're just trying to help people, moving them forward. And this is a responsible investment. We've got excellent security for them. I come from an investment world, and you know, they make a rate of return on their money, but we don't gouge anyone. It's really helping people get into home ownership. And my investors are incredibly happy, knowing as well that they're helping a family or whomever.
Yeah. So you created this program. Who is this created for? Like, who is this suited for?
Well, my gosh, you know, at first I thought it would be great for people with credit issues. But it's so much more than that. Just over the years, so many people have approached me and said, you know, the bank said no. And I'm like, well, why? Well, you know, I got a gift as a down payment. And the banks really didn't look favorably upon that because I didn't earn it in my own resources. Or income is a big one. If you're self-employed, and even though the government and even though society might say, be your own boss. Well, the sad reality of the situation is unless you've got 2 or 3 years of self-employed income where you can show really good records all the way along, notice of assessments through Revenue Canada, the bank, chances are, doesn't want to play ball with that. So it's a very tough situation. I see people every day, business owners, where they've left, you know, a solid job to achieve a dream, something that they truly want to be of service for in their own dream. And they can't move forward because the bank doesn't want to support them. I understand it, but it's unfortunate. So it's so much more than just credit problems. Yes, absolutely, it's for credit problems as well. Lots of my clients are in a personal proposal, are undischarged bankruptcies, or have had a bankruptcy and they're struggling to get back on the right path. And we help them with credit counseling. We've been there. Like, this is real life. Like, sickness happens and layoffs happen. Through COVID, I just gained so many clients because business was hard. So many things got shut down and it really disrupted so many things. But people still had that dream of owning a home, still wanted equity, still wanted to leave something to their children. And I'm so proud to say that we've been able to help them.
And how do you approve people? Like, what's that process like? Like, how do you know that, like, okay, they're the right fit?
Yeah, again, that's such a good question. I never know until I meet with people, to be honest. There's certain criteria. You're going to have, you know, a 5% down payment. And I have to be comfortable with the income source, where it's coming from. You know, but a lot of it has to do with the integrity of the person and the willingness to be in home ownership and the why. If someone's got a strong enough why, usually we can make that work.
And are there any other programs like this, or is this kind of alone?
So, you know, being a realtor for as long as I've been a realtor, I've seen a number of different programs kind of pop up depending on market conditions. I find that, again, depending on market conditions, certain things will come and go. They're almost fads, you know. So currently, as I sit here, I think there's 1 or 2 other programs that are available locally, but both of them that I've looked into, and I'm not an expert on either one. I'm only an expert on my program. But both of them are iterations of rent to own. And again, when we talk about rent, that's money that you are not getting back that's paid to someone else. That is not what I offer. Not at all. So we're unique in that sense.
So what are the major differences between your program and the other programs similar?
Okay, so aside from the rental component, and again, that's probably the biggest one, rent being money out the window. Another one is, we're a registered real estate brokerage with the Real Estate Council of Ontario. We're insured to do this. We've got an incredibly strict code of ethics that we must adhere to. We have 100% transparency in all that we do. And I'm not about putting anyone else down, but I don't believe that whoever else tries to offer a rent to own product that's similar to our product has those insurances or has that kind of backup from an association. We're audited on a fairly regular basis, so everything we do has to be above board. And one other thing I might add, with every single contract that we do, we advise our buyer clients to get independent legal advice. We actually have it included in every single contract that we write, where people have to acknowledge that they've been advised to obtain independent legal advice.
So people are actually building equity through this program.
Without a doubt, and we counsel people all the time how to build equity in a home. Like we're actually teaching people how to be wealthy through real estate. The program itself, through the payment, you're paying property taxes and insurance just like owning a home. But there's also a mortgage style component to the payment. And with every mortgage, it's called a Canadian legal standard calculation. It really doesn't matter if you're with the Royal Bank or the CIBC or TD Bank. It's the same calculation. The only thing that changes is the interest rate and the amortization. We use a 25-year amortization, and there's an interest component and a principal pay down component. Therefore, with every single payment that our clients make, our buyers make, they're bringing that principal down more and more and more. And then we show people different improvements that they can make to that property that'll actually dramatically, most times dramatically, increase the value of that property. And that equity, chances are, is theirs to keep. Like we've got so many examples where after the end of a 3-year contract, the investor, their contract might say that the property is worth $300,000. And the reality of the situation is it's closer to $500,000 due to the work that the buyer has put in. And we help them every step of the way. We're involved, both from credit counseling and that construction standpoint, to advise.
When you started this when you were younger, was it more like to help people, or was it a little bit more like just a business?
No, yeah, to be honest, when I started it, it was for my own business. I was doing a lot of buying of real estate, and I wanted to flip it. I don't know if people have heard about, buy low and renovate and sell high. And I did a lot of that. Again, I've been doing this for a very long time. What I found was, depending on the market condition, and I wasn't able to sell that particular property, and we're going back to the early 90s now. I developed this as a way for people to purchase the home even though they weren't qualified to purchase the home, and to show them how the value will increase over years. To answer your question, I didn't start it as a business. I started it for myself, just to do my own personal properties. And through the years, a number of my investment clients, friends, approached me and said, "What are you doing? Like, tell us, what's going on over here? We want to invest in real estate, but we don't want that landlord-tenant relationship. We want to help people, but we don't want to be bound by that relationship. So tell us what you're doing." So in that way, that's how it evolved. It really did.
That sounds awesome. So how does someone apply? Is it difficult to get approved, or what's the process like?
Well, I basically have to sit down with someone. It takes, I would say, we go for coffee, and I'm very, very, very fortunate that I'm able to work with some associates that will go over the actual program, the assisted purchase program, with someone even before I get there. So someone already understands, that what you'll need for an income requirement, as well as what the down payment would have to be, and also what's available to you on the MLS system. I can usually tell within an hour, and it's very casual. We meet for coffee. Every situation is different. Every single one. I haven't yet two that are the same in over 30 years. And I like to say that I tailor every single situation specifically to that individual. And then I basically match an investor to that individual. I'm involved with every single deal. I can usually let people know if we're moving forward at the end of that coffee session. And on top of that, if for whatever reason we're not going to move forward, maybe that person isn't ready yet, maybe it was just information that they were trying to gather, for whatever reason, I can show them how to get themselves ready and give them a timeline, a very realistic timeline that'll move them to the next step.
So how does someone initiate contact? What's the best way?
Well, certainly through our website. We have a facility within the website that you can contact us. It'll ask for some basic information, and then you will be contacted. Our phone number. What else? And social media. I think those are the best ways. We're pretty much word of mouth. But yeah, I'd say that's the best way.
If you only had 30 seconds to a minute to describe this program or describe how it can help someone or why it's a good idea, what would you say to someone?
I guess to become a little more personal, I have a grandchild now. And I know how wealth can be created through real estate. And I've also seen people rent their entire lives and basically pay someone else's mortgage and watch someone else, get the equity from that. So real estate markets keep climbing. If I only had 30 seconds, I would say, get into real estate ownership. It's not going down. It's a place to put down some roots. And even if you feel like you can't right now, for whatever reason, be it credit, income, down payment, give us a call. We can get you on that path. Maybe we can make it happen for you. And we can get you started. You can leave money to your family. Give them a sense of stability. We can teach you how to be wealthy through real estate. So if I only had 30 seconds, I would say, what are you waiting for? What are you afraid of? My whole business career, I've seen mostly real estate wealth. Not trading time for money in a job, but getting into real estate. That's what I would say.
Thanks, Todd. We appreciate the time.
Thank you.